everyone. Today we have quite a dense agenda for conversation, and I see my timer shows 15 minutes. I don't find the option how I can purchase the extra airtime, so I have to be very fast and probably kindly ask organizers to give me a few extra minutes. The topic is really big. So my name is Martin Miles. Many of you know me already. This is my bio, and the most probably important information from this bio is the link at the very bottom, because this session, I will touch it at high level, and all the details, all the um, supporting information and blogs you can find in this URL after I come back to my desk. Okay, so let's dive in. There is a massive gap between official docs narrative and the operational reality on the ground. So there are different 5 truths about this middle stage. Uh, First of all, migration tool solves hardly 20% of the problem, and it does not rebuild the front end. So that's entirely out of scope. The middle state itself architecturally is more complex than either XP or SitecoreAI alone, or maybe even combined. The truth number 3, nobody actually budgets for this dual run period, and sometimes the budget uh, it consumes 30 to 50% more than uh, it's supposed to be originally. And actually, there is a rule of thumb: if you are more than 50% over, it's better to stop your activity and reconsider in favor of the greenfield redevelopment. Truth number 4 is that SaaS platform itself evolves; it does not stand still. And while you migrate, especially on this long period of time, there's lots might happen, and you should expect this will happen. So the final 5th truth is that most legacy XP personalization you don't even probably need it, so you can start from fresh. Now let's actually formally define what the middle state is, um, and why these standard diagrams are not actually saying truth to us. So we've all seen these similar diagrams that show us a clean, direct path with access, plan, execute, cut over. So it's clean, it's linear, it's predictable, except it's not. The reality looks slightly different. The middle state is a dual operation state, which may last from 6 to, I would say, I drop in 24 months in parallel. And all the time you're running 2 CMS platforms, 2 CDNs, reverse proxy, dual analytics, federated search, all that in parallel. So before we even start, I want you to use this decision framework. So in some cases, you probably don't even need to migrate. You're probably better off staying on XP. So for example, if you are fully utilizing the marketing and analytic tool set, or you maybe have some data sovereignty or compliance regulations, in that case, you simply cannot do this migration. So in the other situation, when you have a large content multi-state, maybe 100K items, might be more, and you have supporting budget for that, and you have the team, or you work with a partner who can have this team for your budget. And what is most important is that sections could be independently migrated one by another. In that case, you should focus on this hybrid migration, and the whole presentation today is exactly about that. Last but not least, you may have XP with the heavy content interdependencies, with very cumbersome IA infrastructure. So in that case, you need to do the proper IA refactoring, and you better go for the full redesign, which is the greenfield development. So there are few frictions you will face during this operation. So there are 4 core pain points I would like to talk about. So the pain point number 1 is that content migration at scale. So you don't have direct access to SQL databases in the cloud, and you cannot operate backups. You have to deal with author and API, and author and API on its own It does not allow you batching, and each item process requires HTTP requests, so you can end up realistically 2 or 3 items per second, which is extremely slow, especially for the large volume websites. That's one of the blocker. In addition, you have some hard limits like media library, 50 megabyte limits, which cannot get published to Experience Edge. If you're over it, you have to go DAM. Then migration tool itself is not bidirectional, it's just one way only. In addition to that, you have some soft hidden traps. For example, some migration tools or some frameworks do not preserve GUIDs, and that will break all your links and interdependencies, especially when it comes to rich text or link fails. In addition, SitecoreAI itself, it demands you to have a very strict structure like site collection, site definition, then the home item and the pages underneath, as well as the rest of supporting elements strictly. And even if you have the best breed of Helix architecture on your legacy XP, you will still have to do some changes and adjustments. Uh, Again, if you rebuild templates, we will likely to have different IDs, and the whole chain of template inheritance will just get broken. Last but not least, the content freeze window, you will have your content freeze, so it's realistic. So I will later this session I will talk about how to deal with content freeze. When it comes for templates, you can refer to my blog. I released the module for SitecoreAI that allows you to change the ID for the items, and it will do the respectful change for all the dependencies across the whole environment, as well as even rebuilds the index. So that's really helpful. When it comes to the database access, I would recommend the use approach I use it personally is to set up your local Docker containers on your local machine and then take the legacy database, plug it to your Docker container locally, and then you operate the content migration SQL to SQL, which basically preserves you from these limitations. So you first you do this bulk migration, you do it quick, and then you adjust it appropriately so that it fits the um, SitecoreAI requirements. Again, I also have a blog post specifically dedicated to that. Okay, pain point number 2 is URL routing. So during the middle state, we use Azure front door or any similar gateway for split traffic. So uh, we route specific URL path, for example, blog in this case, to the new SitecoreAI stack on Vercel, and the rest of traffic goes to the legacy content delivery service of XP. Uh, So the pain point number 3 is the analytics gap, and I apologize straight away for my drawing skills. This brown stick in the middle is actually, I tried to demonstrate the wall, and there is the gap. The idea I wanted to show is that XDB and CDP have fundamentally incompatible data models. So when you migrate, you permanently will lose anonymous contacts, then behavioral interactions, engagement values, scores, everything you collected, and historical reporting. So yeah, during this middle state, your marketing stakeholders, they will have to deal with the 2 dashboards, not one. And you also have to set the expectation that as soon as cutover day happens, that is a reporting reset date for them. Pain point number 4, supply for drift. So again, as I said, SitecoreAI is a live SaaS platform, so it gets updates automatically. Just memorize how many of them we had in the recent 18 months. So we had Foundation had been archived. So that's no longer our starter kit. We had Content SDK introduced. We now have Content SDK number 2. We had Uproter support. Then we had actually GSS decommission will be decommissioned for SitecoreAI from June. You have to account that as well. So a lot of things. And when you plan this long term uh, activity, you should expect that things will change. So how do we survive all of that? There is only one way to eat the elephant, eating one bite at a time. Simple as that. So This split routing architecture enables us to section by section migration. So we start with one massive big bulk content synchronization, and then we migrate one section at a time. So um, then you do content freeze, but it's short content freeze. We are talking about hours, not days, not weeks, hours, very short. And then eventually, once we ready, we do routing cutover, which in our case is just readjustment the rule at Asia front door to serve the new section, new migrated section. And that's where the traffic goes to. And optionally, we can decommission the legacy content from content delivery service and progress with the next session and continue until we are there. So if we take a look at how it may look visually, here they are. So currently we have all the sections at XP, and that's pre-migration stage. Next, we do migrate some low-risk section, which in our case are blog and newsroom, which are independent because nothing depends on them in this case. And then we progress into more important sections. That's where some content authority disputes may begin between different teams. Then we progress into even more scary wave, which touching when we're touching revenue pages or like things like forms or products. Long story short, eventually we have all the sections migrated to SitecoreAI, and that would be it. Later we can decommission XP infrastructure. This one. This is the first shared capability you have to think about. So think of search even before everything else. So I wish someone had showed me this slide before my first Sitecore AI project, because search is not phase 3 problem. Search is day 1 architectural decision. And here's why. We don't have Solr, so we actually do, but it's for internal purposes. And we have to employ an external search provider. It shouldn't be just Sitecore Search itself. It can be anything like Algolia, maybe Caveo, but it should be external, and start indexing both systems even before we do this migration. And in addition, I want to highlight that we also should enable telemetry if we're talking about Sitecore Search, because it is important for search analytics and personalization from this product. So essentially we have for face here, um, we introduce this external search as early as possible, index both stacks. Then we keep doing incremental updates. And once we migrate everything, we can retire this legacy solid dependency. Next, we covered search. So let's switch gears to more heavily debated topic, which is analytics and personalization. So this brings us to a black hole of analytics. And because XDP and CDP have fundamentally incompatible data models, there is no migration path from behavioral data. So cutover date, you permanently lose anonymous contacts, your history, engagement values, everything. So during this middle state, your marketers will have to look at two systems, and looking at this black hole, we can see that we initially will have whole analytics provided by XDB, and then as soon as we start migrating these sections one by one to the new system, we see decline of the analytics from XDB, starting getting this analytics from new system, and we have this delta of analytics gap as well. That's visibility gap. So be prepared that your analytics will get dropped for a certain period of time until it's fully back in place. So for the personalization strategies, the best strategy I would say is this: you should employ early CDP as early as possible, ideally 6 to 12 months even before the migration across both systems. So use Engage SDK for XP and accumulate behavioral data so that you avoid this analytics gap. So CDP will know everything about your users and about the patterns even before you start building a new system, which brings you to zero cold start. And Sitecore itself did this same approach with their sitecore.com website. Strategy 2 is running dual personalization. Uh, it is acceptable. It is acceptable, but of course for short middle states, maybe like 6 months or something. And it risks inconsistent UX. So if you cannot afford strategy 1, go for second. And you definitely should avoid the strategy number 3, trying to replicate the analytics after the cutover period. So I'm giving you this data migration scope. You can take a photograph or you can get it from my blog later. So the green means which part of the analytics is migratable, red which is permanently lost. So you see the red team wins here definitely. Right. So some personalization takeaways. To sum up these recommendations, you should not chase one-to-one rule migration, and instead you should focus mostly on the business outcomes. Uh, so start collecting CDP data as early as possible for the new world. So do we have a couple more minutes? Thank you. Okay. So there are way more things to care of. Authentication, monitoring, CO. So identity problem is on the surface. The user should feel like they are on a single website, but underneath we have XP and we have SitecoreAI, and they both have completely different session models. XP uses OWIN-based federated authentication, and SitecoreAI use actually not SitecoreAI itself, but head application. They use the external authentication because they cannot even use this unified identity because it's reserved for CM on Sitecore portal. So that's you have to use external. So the correct architecture is when the both stacks trust the same external OpenID Connect or auth identity provider. The best would be probably Microsoft Entra external ID. This diagram shows you the flow, so I won't go into the details, but you see how the authentication happens, and then it's been split through both of the systems, and we have effectively have a single sign-on done. Couple things I want you to notify. So stay away from desire to use shared JWT cookie across both stacks because first of all, it's fragile and it creates extra dependency, and generally it seems to be unspartan. If you test login, test logout as well, because you should log out from one system, uh, not from one system, but from both systems. Login from one means the other is still active. And also you may face some roles and claims mismatch, so you need to take care of that. Before I wrap up, I quickly cover observability. So most teams, they just monitor the new team, the new environment, the new SitecoreAI. In reality, you should have at least monitoring these 4 levels. So you should monitor Azure front door, all the traffic metrics, errors, cache hits, like everything. Then you should have application level telemetry for both worlds, for old and for new, which includes XP server errors, Next.js, rendering errors, API failures, like everything. Separately from that, we have site quality, and that mostly falls to the core web vitals metrics. And also in-app resilience, for example, uh, let's imagine a good example. So you have one broken component, so it should not break the whole editing experience for the page. Right. Probably the final part is SEO. Again, I won't, in the interest of time, I won't get through the whole diagram here. So the main idea, you will be focused around canonical ownership, sitemap governance, and the hostname control across 2 delivery systems. So I've been shown that time is out. So uh, last but not least, you should care of the team, but I leave that you as a homework to investigate. Thank you very much.